Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Golden Boots podcast presented by Top Bin 90. This is your host, Jorge Gonzalez. Our podcast is all about soccer, all things soccer. We love soccer. For episode 19, we have Tucker Lepley. Tucker has played in Kansas City 2 team in the USL. He's also been called up to the national U-17 U-19 team and is now at UCLA. Tucker, how are you today, my man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Since this is episode 19, I'm going to go ahead and dub it the Messi episode because, you know, he wore 19 when he was first at Barca. Yeah. So, nice, man. Has the holidays been different for you?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, life isn't the same at all for anybody, but just to be home and be around family, it's a blessing, so.
It's good, man. Yeah, I've noticed a lot of differences. The one thing, though, that I feel like never changes with people is procrastination. Like, I was shopping for gifts. I'm like, bro, everybody's out here now. Oh, my God. Like, not even with a pandemic, people have learned.
Yeah, for real. Shopping, school, it's all the same.
Yeah, you're right. Like, people still will turn their assignments in late, no matter if, like, you really can't do anything.
I'm on that boat. I'm on that wave.
Nice, man. So our podcast, we like to highlight different players, bring them in to tell us a little bit about themselves. We want to expose a lot of the Charlotte kind of talent, man, because I feel like our city and the surrounding areas is just full of talent, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've always said Charlotte's like a hotbed, and now that we have a team, it's super cool. I hope a lot of these kids, you know, get the chance to be in the academy and stuff, because, like, take me, for example, and some other kids, like, we had to leave Charlotte to get to bigger places. So I grew up playing for CSA whole life from the earliest I could all the way up to 16.
Do you remember, like, when you first started getting that, like, fixation for soccer? Was it
Yeah, it's been from the jump for me.
Really?
Like, I grew up at the field. My older brother, soccer, baseball. I mean, to be honest with you, I played it all growing up.
So you're just athletic, man.
Yeah, my dad, like, for my development and stuff, like you said, the more sports you play, like, you know, the better it is. And I don't want to put you in one sport too early. Like, just kind of feel them all out. So, like, lacrosse I played, basketball I played, baseball I played, soccer.
What was your, like, second favorite after soccer?
Basketball.
Okay. Damn, you a hooper too, man. Then.
I mean, if you look at me now, they started growing, and that's when I called it quits. That's when I called it quits.
Nice. Well, cool, man. So awesome. Tell us a little bit about, I know you told me that you played in Spain a little bit, man. How was that like?
Yeah, so they had like the club UA Cornet. They had a camp here with Barcelona. And I went to it just like a normal summer camp, you know, just like as a kid, like the parents like get out the house, like, you know, they want to deal with you all the time. And, you know, it turned out that they really liked me as a player. And they invited me over there to go to the club, play, and all these different things. So that was super cool. I would spend 2 weeks at a time there. So I'd go for 2 weeks, and then, like, I would come home, like, for school and everything.
How old were you at this time?
Oh, young, like 12,
wow,
13.
Okay. So they really saw something in you, man, to take you at that age.
I mean, I probably 14, I flew to Spain alone.
Wow.
And I just got picked up by one of the boys in the club, and I was just living with him, you know, like, foreign country. I'm not speaking much Spanish. Thankfully, they know English, you know. Over there, they speak a lot of Catalan.
Okay, yeah,
in Barcelona.
Man.
So, you know, I'm at the facility, and, like, I'm trying to communicate with the teammates and things like that, and in training too. But at the end of the day, you can just use your eyes, because soccer is, like, the world's language, you know.
That's true, man.
So, like,
a lot of different teams have different players that speak different languages. And, like, yeah, like, you're right. Like, it's just a blend of everything.
Yeah, but, I mean, the only way, like, for me to earn their respect was to go out and show them, like, okay,
that's
like,
true.
Americans can play, because I was probably, like, the first American to be there.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, like, now it's, like, more normalized for, like, these young MLS kids to go to Europe and stuff. But 4 or 5 years ago, it wasn't really happening. So I was there, like, 2 weeks at a time. Like I said, I would play in some tournaments, this and that. It went on for a couple of years. And then U16 year, I left CSA, and then I moved to Sporting Kansas City.
Okay.
Just after some trials and different things, and evaluating some options, and out there with my host family. So
okay,
you know,
that's cool. Before we get into that, I want you to touch a little bit about that experience in Spain too, man. What was life like? What was the culture like playing soccer? Because that's a big change. Like, you go from kind of the U.S. development system of doing soccer here versus what's done in Europe. Like Europe has been established for years. Like we're kind of new to the scene, you know.
Yeah.
MLS has only been around for like 25 years. Even like the way we develop players is a lot different. Because I remember the '94 World Cup, like we had like college kids playing in it, right? So it's developed a lot. But like, tell us a little bit about more about that. Because you said like it was a feeder team to Barca too, so you were near the Espanyol Stadium.
Yeah, Espanyol right behind me, you know, like we got to watch Barca B train, like all this stuff. So you see like the big boys like in action. Like I told you, like I was playing with a kid in Cornea and now he's playing for Barca B. Like
that's awesome.
That's mind blowing, you know?
Yeah.
But over there it's just that's life or death, you know, like in Europe it's either you make it or you go to school. There's no you go to school to play soccer. Like their college soccer that's not what it is. So either make it as a pro or you go find another job.
That's a very different mindset, right?
I mean, and that's why they're killers, you know? Like they're successful, you know? Like the best ones make it out and they're just breeding, you know? But I would say it's not as technical as what people think.
Okay.
Like the physicality's there, like for sure. But I mean, technically they're on a different level, you know? But physically, like I was thinking like America's physical, but like Spain was up there. Like they were just as physical. And I think that's a big thing for a lot of people. Like American soccer really isn't that different from Europe.
Okay.
You know, like I mean, there's obviously a gap between the quality of players, but it's the same. Like the top 5 players from that academy will go on to another academy. Like top 2 or 3 players from MLS academy, they'll sign a contract, but like everyone else is like on the same playing field, you know?
That's a good point, man. I never thought about it from that perspective.
Yeah, like not everybody's gonna make it out of there, just like not everybody here makes it out. So it was just crazy to see the way they work. You know, like those kids, like the culture they have, it's coming more here, like the team bonding, like the locker rooms, like all that stuff. Like they spend time together, like they road trip together. Whereas in like America, like each family drives the bus. You know, drives a car. Not each family drives a bus, but like everybody is on their own, you know. But like these guys, when they travel, like as a team, like the family isn't there. Like you're just with the team, and I think that's the team culture is like what brings them so together.
100%, man.
And like those guys, like they die for each other. You know, like they give everything for the sport. And I think sometimes here, like not everybody like gives it all for the sport.
Yeah.
Just because everybody's in different clubs and different things, you know?
It's true, man. It's a more a level of comfort here, right, when it comes to soccer versus almost every other country, man. 'Cause like, you're right. Like they don't go to school to play soccer. They play soccer, and if they can't make it, they go to school. Just very different.
Yeah, like in America, you have all these options.
Yeah.
You can go college. You can go D1, D2, D3, USL, USL1, USL2. Like there it's just like first division, second division, third is it. You know what I mean? Like it just goes down. There's not like hundreds of teams for kids to play on. So that's why I think the mindset there is I gotta make it. Like here, kids like you can play for CSA's DA as a goal to get into a school.
Yeah.
Like you can use soccer to get into a school. There you can't use soccer to get into a school.
Hey,
so
that's
like
a good point, man.
The reasoning behind playing is
totally different.
Yeah.
That's
totally
cool,
different.
Awesome. So you came back. So you spent some time in Spain.
Yeah.
You learned Spanish. You learned Catalan. You're trilingual now.
A little bit.
Nice, man. And tell us about that move to Sporting Kansas City, man.
Yeah. So I was at CSA, playing in the DA. My U14 year, got called up to the showcase with U16s. Playing with them and stuff. Got noticed by them. Nothing really happened. And then 2 years later, came a U16, and I was like, you know what, Dad, like, this is my life. Like, this is what I want. I got to move on. So, and, you know, like, that's coming from me. Like, that wasn't my dad saying, like, let's move. You know, that was on me to go to your parents and be like, I want to leave home. Like, I want out of here. You know, that's like, oh, whoa. Like, you're 16. Like, you know. Like,
bro, that is a super difficult decision.
Yeah.
First of all, like, 0.001% of people would even like make that decision, you know?
So, but, so after that, I started looking at some other clubs like Orlando, Atlanta, some other ones I didn't really consider. But then Sporting, I got to go on trial. And I went with my boy's family, who I played with since I was 6.
Okay.
His name's Willie
Okay.
Cardona.
Shout out to
my
Willie.
boy. Yeah, played at Red Bulls, played in Argentina, so he's a baller too. But flew with his dad, him and his brother. They took me with them. I can remember like we were in the hotel, like either like Willie was sharing a bed with me, like one of us was on the floor, and stuff, and that was all just to get a chance to get out.
So
Like,
you left the comfort of your home where your parents were. I mean, in reality, like you were pretty chill at 16, right? Like it wasn't like you were in like the worst spot. Because I mean, like there's players that come like they have nothing. Like you were at a decent comfort level.
Yeah.
You left that to go try out for a team without any guarantee, right? And you were sleeping in a bed, sometimes on the floor, but because you wanted it.
Yeah, and
I love that,
so
man.
I went on trial for the week, but Willie left after Wednesday or Thursday because he had to go do something else. So another boy from Charlotte who was at Sporting at the time, his name's Ryan Fessler. Shout out Ryan. He's at Wake Forest now.
Nice.
He's a beast. I can remember like first time meeting him, like they took me in, like blew up a little air mattress for me, and like the last 2 days of trialing, like I was on the air mattress, but it was just work. And, I went in with the mentality, like, I'm good enough to do this.
I love that,
like,
man.
I belong here. And, like, a week later, they called and they were like, yo, like, we really like you, like, we'll offer you a spot, but you got to let us know. And my mom, I remember a conversation with my mom and my dad. We were on the front step of my dad's house because I was about to go to my mom's house for the weekend. And my dad goes, I have some news for you. And I was like, like he didn't say it like, like let's go. He was like, I gotta tell you something. And I was like, crap, like, and he was like, they offered you a spot. And I was like, whoa, like that's pretty big time. And
were you like really chill about it, or like were you super excited?
Nah, I was super excited. But in that moment, like I knew I already belonged. Like I knew like that's
why did you feel like that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Like when I went on trial, like in the environment and the way I was playing, I knew that like there was like I should get the offer because of the way I was playing, and I believed in myself, and I knew the only thing they would possibly say to me was you're not strong enough or you're not big enough yet. And I knew those were the only 2 reasons why they would possibly even say no to me.
Okay.
So they told me yes. And then literally right then and there, my dad was like, I'll let you go. Not even like, we didn't sit down and go through this. Like my dad was like, they accepted you, like you can go. And I was like, yo, like no conversation, no nothing, like right there on the spot. And, I'm very lucky. Like my dad has given me like so many opportunities. Like he's known around Charlotte for his soccer. He's a talker. Everybody knows him. But from like the 3v3 field to, we had like a U.S. club team outside of CSA called the Inferno with me and my friends. We would play tournaments and stuff. Yeah, that was our team name. So we would play in tournaments and stuff. And as much as CSA developed me, like my dad like developed me too, and sometimes I might not give him enough credit, but dad,
shout out to him.
I appreciate you for everything. And my mom and my stepdad have just always been there to support me with my siblings. So my mom was like, if dad said yes, I say yes. You know what I mean? Okay, like let's do it. So
that's so awesome, man, that they're like supporting your dream as well, man. Because I mean, that's a difficult thing to do. Like, I'm not a parent, but I can think from a parent perspective, like, man, he's 16, like he's still not an adult yet. But like, one of the things that I got from you just talking is like, you have to be prepared to make those long-term decisions, right? And sometimes those feel like adult decisions, right? Because at 16, what you were thinking about, like, it's not easy to do, but you have to look at things from a long-term perspective.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I told you last night, like after that, like I moved in with a host family. First time I met this family was when I was at their doorstep,
Yeah.
Like I didn't even like see their face, nothing, like not even know what they look like, like I left everything, no friends, like nothing. The only friends I had in my out there were at the club. Like in school, like I didn't talk to nobody, like nothing, like straight up, like I went to school, I did my work, but I was there for like I wanted to play.
You were focused, bro.
I wanted to play, so I didn't really talk to nobody at school. And like coming back here, like I had a lot of boys, 15, 16, but now like I went away, like my circle's tight, you know?
Yeah.
Like you got the real ones with you, and like
100%.
I feel like that's hard to find these days. But
It is, and like I feel like you have to be able to know who you put in your circle as well, man. Honestly, like we're friends with everybody. Like one saying that I love is like I have unconditional love for everybody, but my time is limited, you know?
That's powerful, bro.
Right?
That's powerful.
Because you have to put people around you that like if people are negative around you all the time or you see that they're not going nowhere, cool, I'll show them love, but I'm not going to spend my time with them. And that's the same mentality you got to have, right? Like, okay, like you want to be around people that are pushing like, man, this guy's being successful, even if it's not soccer. I love this guy's mindset because X, Y, and Z, or dude, I love how this player thinks. Let me hang around him more so I can get more of that mentality.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I was after I got to sporting and I started getting opportunities with the USL and the first team and stuff, you know, like those guys really took me under their wing and I was getting advice from like World Cup like players and stuff.
It's
you know
amazing,
what I mean?
Man.
Like you just gotta soak it all in, you know? Soccer is all about opportunity. Like one of the coaches told me, he was like, the way down is always quicker than the way up, you know? So you grind. I
love that, man. That's really good.
Yeah, you make it to the top and then you get the big head, you think you're like the guy, and 2 days later you're back down at the bottom because you thought you were the guy and now you gotta start it all over, you know?
That's great advice, man.
Yeah, so that just teaches you to be humble, you know, like to work hard, you know. Like that's another thing I would tell kids. Like people say, "Oh, work hard, have discipline is what like makes it." Like they're not lying to you. Like that's really what makes it, you know. And like if you think about it, like in the professional soccer world, like if you make it to 35, like you got a good like you had a really good career.
Yep.
And like that's where the sport takes you. So that 7 a.m. workout when you were 18, all those days you put in, you're done by 35. You still got 40 years to catch up on your sleep. You know what I mean?
I love that, yeah.
Like, wake up and grind.
That's true.
Like, you got the rest of your life to catch up on. Like, soccer is such a short window in your life that if you don't go full throttle in it, it's gone before you know it. And that's kind of like me when I was at, like, 16. I was like, if I don't start taking these steps now, like, I'm not going to get anywhere with this sport. You know?
That's awesome that like you're really good at kind of developing that long-term vision, bro. Like a lot of people live for today, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't understand 5, 10, 15 years from now, but like you really do.
Yeah.
Like for your age to know that, I'm super impressed because like no one thinks about that, you know what I'm saying? Or very few people think like, okay, this is going to be a short career. What am I doing today, right? Because I mean, forget about what you did yesterday, right? It doesn't matter. But today, what can you do today to improve, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I think kids also need to understand, like, not every day is a good day.
That's good.
Like, you're going to have days where, like, literally, like, you're like, dude, I forgot how to play soccer. Like, I suck. You know, like, I suck. But it's those times of adversity and failure that truly shape you, you know? Like, your coach... When I had, for example, I had a habit when I first went to sporting. Like, when I would give the ball away, I'd be like, oh, like I kind of have that reaction. And my coach is like, body language, like, nah, fix it. You know, like if I'm playing against you, I see that, like I know I got you. Like I'm in your head and stuff. You know.
Yeah.
It's the small details that can make can make the biggest difference. So like when you carry yourself, confidence. You know, like 100%. I was told I got a little swag walk or like whatever people want to call it, you know. But I think that's super important, you know, for kids to understand that like not every day is gonna be a good day, but it's what you take from those bad days that you can turn into good days. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you even learn more, man. You learn more from your failures than your successes.
100%.
You know?
I agree. When you're succeeding, like you're at the top.
Yeah.
Like everybody's cool with you. Everybody's your boy. You know, we're both going through something right now. You know.
Yeah.
Injuries. Both tore ACLs, you know, like you find out who's really rocking with you, you know, when you're at the bottom, you know. So I tell myself like you learn the most about yourself when you're at the bottom.
That's good,
you know?
Man.
You don't have to grind for everything when you're at the top. You get complacent. And complacency is like a drug, dude. Like that's what like that takes over your body, you know? Like I've seen people like get complacent and it like consumes them, you know, like they want to be that guy and then you're here and you don't see the guy coming below you. You know, the guy below you's coming. He's working every day. You know what I mean?
That's
like
good.
Just because you're a U-17 doesn't mean they're not looking at the U-15 below you because he's a year or two older. you know?
Yeah.
If you're the head coach of a first team, you're going to say, how's this U19 looking compared to how this U15 is going to look in 2 to 3 years?
That's a really good
you
point,
know,
man.
like
Yeah.
it's like you might be here right now and he might be there right now, but think about where you were 2 years ago and now where he's going to be in 2 years. You know what I mean?
That's a really good. That's a coach perspective right there, man.
Yeah, you know, but like you gotta think about these things. You know,
100%.
you're a player. Like you have to go every day, like to fight for a job. Like when I was there, like I was fighting for a job every day. Like yes, I was with the academy, but when I started getting with the USL and the first team and stuff, like when I was playing USL, dude, like I'm playing guys who are trying to feed their family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
when you get there, like when you take a grown man's job, like when you're playing over him, like dude, like he's not gonna be cool with that.
100%.
You know, like now we got tacos flying in, you know, you're getting me mugged in the locker room. Like, you know what I mean? Like they might not show it, but inside they're like, yo, how am I gonna get this, you know, this little 5'4" piece of crap off the field? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of,
Man, how important is mental toughness during these times, man?
honestly, mental toughness is everything. It really is. Like you can have confidence, you can be hungry, but mentally, if you're not there, you have no chance of making it. No chance at all.
It's very true, man, because you bring up stuff that, like, people don't really think about. Like, I think that's something, like, you just touched on two things that I love. Like, one is having that perspective, okay, like, yeah, you're a great player, but think about it from a coach's perspective. What are they looking at, right? Like, I'm right here right now, but who's coming behind me? Who's trying to take my position? And the second part is, like, you're going to have all these internal and external factors that are going to try to take away from what you're trying to succeed at. Like, bro, like, you have to develop that mindset. Like, the number one person that you need to invest and believe is in yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
Because if that doesn't happen, then you're not going to make it.
Yeah, like we were talking about, you know, yesterday, if you don't believe in yourself, like, you're going nowhere. And mental toughness doesn't just come on a soccer field. Like, mental toughness for me came, like, with family stuff. It came with schoolwork, you know, like, it came with soccer. Like, mental toughness comes for everything. But the way you face your enemies, face your challenges, like, that's what truly makes you. Because when you think about it, bro, like, in today's world, everybody's opinionated.
100%, bro.
And mentally, you have to be able to deal with, like I was telling you, like, I get subbed into a USL game and there's 10,000 fans in the stands, you know, like, I'm 17 and I got guys yelling at me, cursing at me, like, saying all these things to me. Like, there's players who will fold under that pressure, you know.
Yeah.
When I'm training with the first team, playing in the USL, like, there's pressure to perform because they're paying people money.
Yeah.
I might not have been paying people money, but my performance affects their contracts. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
like,
that's a good point.
You got to perform, and, you know, like, that's something, like, also that I would want kids to know. Like, person A is going to have a different opinion of you than person B.
Yeah.
Your boy might be talking to you face to face like, yo, you're a beast, keep it up. And behind your back, he's like, nah, he's not even that good. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
just block out all that noise from as young as possible. You know, like,
That's good advice.
People are going to
Great
post
advice.
about you. You're going to get articles written about you, but you can't get caught up in that.
Yeah. You can't feed way too much into the positive or the negative, right?
Because people are always envious.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know, like, they want to be in your shoes regardless of, like, where you're at. You know, people are always going to envy you. So that's a big thing I learned. Like, everybody has their opinion, and you don't have to agree with everybody. You know, like,
100%. I believe that, man.
Like, it's okay for someone not to like me as a player. Yeah. That's cool. You're not me.
Yeah.
Like, that's perfectly fine,
Yeah.
you know?
Even to a degree, like, even if you don't, like, just touching on that, like, if you and I don't see eye to eye with things, like, cool, I respect your opinion, but at the end of the day, I don't care, man.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even, like, with what I do now with the podcast, whatever, someone could say, oh, I could do this XYZ better. Cool, man.
Yeah.
Then you go and do it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to do my thing, and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, because you know what? This is what I believe will succeed. And, like, you have to apply that in anything, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a big point you touched on. I'm going to do it my way. Like, in soccer, everybody can pass a ball, can kick a ball, can do all this when you get to a certain level. What are you doing that's unique? Or what is your unique ability that makes you stand out? Like, what separates you from the guy beside you, you know? When you get to D1 or you start playing professional, like, you and the guy next to you might be the same player. honestly, he might be better than you. But if he doesn't work back for the team and you do, like, you're going to play.
Yeah.
Like, that's just facts, you know? So, like you said, like, the uniqueness and doing it your way, like, that's what's going to make you stand out, you know?
100%.
So I think, you know, like, stand out, like, be different, like, be afraid to take chances, like, take risk, you know? Like we were talking about, bro, like, you're not in this for long. You're not going to, if you're in an environment and you're not hiding, you're hiding and you're trying to, you know, like shy away from the ball, like, oh, bro, bad pass, you know, like, sort of thing. Like, coaches are going to see that. Like, why not be like, screw this. Like, this might be my one chance to step in front of the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you let me do my thing, you know? Like, some players get in environments and they sink or swim.
100%, man.
You know?
Yeah, like, it reminds me of a current player that, like, I'm a big Liverpool fan. So I like watching, like, I remember Curtis Jones.
Yeah.
He scored a goal against Everton in the Cup a year or two ago. And he, like, came out. He's, like, 18, and he's like, man, like, yeah, it's been really difficult for me to get a chance with the first team. And, like today was the game, and I just want more minutes. I'm like, bro, this 18-year-old kid is saying how frustrated he is he can't get into the first team of a world-class team.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's the mindset you have to have, right?
Yeah.
Like, he could have sat there and been like, oh, like, yeah, it was amazing. He talked about how frustrated he was because he wasn't playing more.
Yeah, I mean,
right? And that's what it takes, man.
Yeah, it's either, like, you eat or they eat you.
I
know?
love that.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like I said, bro, like, you're trying to put food on the table. Like, that's your profession.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not playing, of course you're not going to be happy because that's what you love to do. But what are you doing to get on the field? Like, are you one of those guys who you don't play and now you're in the locker room, like, sulking and stuff?
Yeah.
Or are you on the field, you know, working your butt off twice as hard to show coach, like, hey, I'm ready? You know, it's like, as much as, like, your soccer ability, you know, that matters, there's intangibles that matter too.
Yeah.
That the coach can't instill in you, you know, like, your work ethic. I think a big thing that's underrated is nutrition, the way you take care of your body. I don't think that gets spoken on enough, especially for younger kids, you know?
Talk about that a little bit.
You know, like, when I was in Charlotte and stuff, like, dude, like, you munch whatever. You know what I mean?
Out.
Yeah, whatever, bro. Like, I remember going on CSA away trips and, you know, like, we get to the hotel and we get pizza and pasta on a Friday night. We play Saturday and Sunday, you know? Like, what's pizza and pasta going to do for me? But that just shows, like, the difference in the type of people you were dealing with. Like, CSA is still a top club.
100%.
But it's high school kids,
Yeah.
you know? We're high school kids. Like, when we're at Sporting, like, we go on an away trip. We all fly together. We all dress the same, head to toe, including shoes. We go to Chipotle. No sour cream. No cheese. No queso. Like, there's stuff you can't even put on your meal, you know?
Yeah.
Because they're trying to keep our bodies, you know, pure. Like, you can't buy from the hotel snack place. They have snacks for you that are good for you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I went to the nutritionist personally. I was like, her name's Diane. Shout out Diane. I came to her and she made a plan for me. Tucker, how can we put more weight on you? Or, you know, how can we get your training 2 or 3 times a day? How can we maintain what you have so that you're good on day A, but by day C, you're gone. Like, you're trash because you've been training so hard, you know? And I think kids should realize, like, that matters. Like, what you eat really does matter. You feel a difference. You might not feel it when you're 14 because your body, you know, like, that's just the way it is. But by the time you're 18, 19, 20, like, that really does matter, like, what you're putting in your body.
Yeah, you're right. And even if you're that young, 14 and 15, it's not even what you're eating, it's the discipline in that mindset. Like, if you can take care of that at 14, by the time you're 18, it's not going to be an issue, you know?
Yeah, discipline. That's another big word, you know? Like, when I was in Sporting, like, I was alone. Like, yeah, I had my host family, but they weren't going to spend their time parenting me.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, those 2 years, like, I had to grow up on my own. You know? Like, I had to find rides to training, you know? Like, I had to be at school. I had to, you know, find a ride home. Like, you know, all these different things. And, you know, I didn't go out on weekends. You know? It was either I had a game or I sat in my room. You know? Like, I didn't want to go out at parties when I was out there because that's not what I was there for. I wasn't trying to go in every chick's DMs because that's not what I was there for, you know?
Yeah.
As a soccer player, like, if you make it to a level, like, you get surrounded by distractions.
That's good, man.
And it's how you block out those distractions and keep your head focused that, you know, if your head's not there that one day, like, you're going to feel a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
100%.
If you got something else on your mind that's not soccer, like your game's going to take a toll that day. And distractions come from everywhere. They come from your home. They come from maybe some guy like flicking you off on the highway. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true, dude.
They can come from everywhere. But
it's like things that you don't even expect sometimes too. That like you start like, I think what happens is people feed on the negative. It's easier to feed on the negative than the positive, right? So you have to constantly be aware to continue to feed on that positive.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, negative energy surrounds us these days.
Yeah, you're right.
But if you can be positive and turn everything into a positive, that turns you into a happy person. You know what I mean? Like
100%, man.
Negative energy, like, it can consume you, and it can start to, like, you really think to yourself, like, oh, man, maybe I'm really not that good because I had 2 or 3 bad days at training, you know?
Yeah.
Where if you look at it, like, all right, 2 or 3 bad days, I still have 2 more days. I still have a chance to get to the starting 11, you know? It's what I do in these last 2 days, you know? Because in a career, like, kids need to understand, like, you ride waves. Like, you have your highs, you have your lows, you know? But you got to find your consistency. Consistency is a word that means a lot to me. One of my coaches in sporting, his name's Rumba. He was like a dad to me, you know. He was my coach. He gave me advice, everything. But he was like, Tucker, if the difference between an academy kid and a pro is that they're good Monday through Friday and they're exceptional on the weekend. As an academy kid, you might be good Monday through Wednesday. You're okay on Thursday. Friday's the day before the game, so it's a light training. And then Saturday, you're good. And then Sunday, you're okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he said, if you don't find your level of consistency, if you don't perform every day, like, you don't get on the field. If you think about it, the players who play every game for a club, they're consistent. You expect the same thing for them every time. Like,
100%.
I don't want to use Messi as an example because, I mean, he's out of the world.
Yeah.
But if you think of somebody who doesn't have that skill set but plays all the time, like for Liverpool, like if you think about like Jordan Henderson,
Yeah, bro.
he's just consistent. Like, you know what you'll get from him every game.
100%.
And that's a big word that I've taken with me, consistency. Just finding your groove, you know, finding your level of play and sticking to it and holding yourself to that standard. I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned, that if you're not consistent, you won't get on the field. Like, how can my coach trust me?
It's true, man.
If I can't perform in training, and then he's like, oh, in this game, you know, like, he had a bad week of training, but do I give him a shot? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. That's true, man.
That's a big word.
It's good that, like, you always think of other people's perspective as well. I love that because, like, everyone's always thinking about themselves, right? But, like, all of these things are so key. Like, okay, like, what do I need to keep showing the coach so he can, like, believe in me? I need to be consistent. I need to have the mindset. I need to have the work ethic. So
yeah, and I mean, but at the end of the day, it all boils down to, I think of other people's perspective because I know myself.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't need to reassure myself that I'm good enough because I believe in myself.
That's good.
That's the start. Like we were talking about, like, you don't believe in yourself,
you can't do nothing, bro.
You can't do anything, you know? Like, if you're on the field and if I'm playing the 10 and I'm playing against a number 6 who's 6'2" and he's talking trash to me, if I'm in my head like, oh, he's 6-7 inches bigger than me, nah, he's got this one, you know? Like,
you can't have that.
You can't play that game, you know? Like, I might be, you know, a shorter guy, but I'm gritty and I'm feisty. You know, like, feisty, you know? You know, like, I get stuck in. I put my tackles in because the only way that guy gets my respect is either I skill him, he can still kick me, but when I put that challenge on him to know, like, he's like, oh, yeah, like,
this guy's here to play.
He's here, you know? Like, he's not just an offensive player. Like, he's not going to let me have a good day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's, you know, like, you learn little things, too. You know, like, what can I do that will, like, throw him off?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
good.
Being smaller, like, you learn the little things, you know what I mean? Like, if someone were to pass me the ball and I would take it on a half turn, or he would come to my hip, like something I do personally, hopefully there's no refs out there listening to this, like, I take his jersey and I hold it, and then I hold on to his, and I hold him off. Because for me, if I have a straight arm, he can't break that.
Yeah.
You know, I can keep him away. If I have a bent arm, though, he can move that.
Yeah.
But if my arm's straight, he can't break that. So if I have his jersey and my arm's straight, he's locked away from me.
Yeah.
The only way he's going to get me is either kicks me or he grabs my jersey. If he grabs my jersey, I let go of his jersey and the ref sees him grab my jersey. You know, like, it's a foul. Like, you got to be creative
100%
in soccer.
Man. That's one thing I love about, like, South American players. Like, they get a lot of flack in Europe. But I'm like, bro, like, this is stuff that, like, okay, we'll give you the edge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you have to have kind of, like, I don't want to say, like, because it's always looked at from a negative context.
Yeah.
But you just have to have, like, that wit to yourself. You know what I'm saying?
I would say a lot of players get a lot of hate for flopping.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's in the sport. Like, I've taken 1 or 2 falls, you know? But that's a part of the game. Like, that's a part of game management and stuff. And for me, like, there's something to be said if I see some 6'4" center back going for a slide tackle and I jump out of the way, not because I'm flopping, but to, like, protect myself. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that...
You're right.
I think that's something that doesn't get, like, understood enough. Like, you look at Neymar. Like, Neymar might flop and he'll get a couple fouls. But if you think how much Neymar's gotten kicked and bruised over the years...
That's true,
when you think about Neymar, like, how many injuries of his have been he pulled a hamstring or something? None. All of his injuries come from getting hit or getting fouled.
Bro.
Like, World Cup, his back, he get knee to the back, gets stamped on his ankle, you know what I mean? Like, that's why, you know, like, you got to be smart sometimes. Like, that's why Neymar, you got to protect yourself. The ref can only do so much.
100%.
Like, if you know, like, Neymar, like, he's skillful. If you rainbow somebody, like, you think I'm going to be cool with that? Like, nah, bro. Like, you're getting kicked. You know what I mean? So, it's just that wit. And, you know, like, you got to kind of, like, use the system to your advantage. You know what I mean?
100%, man. That's good, man. That's a lot of solid advice, man. Tell us a little bit about the national call-ups for you, the playing with the U.S. Men's National U-17 team. Like, what was that experience like?
Yeah, that was crazy. When I was at CSA my U14 year, I got called up to a futures camp, which is kind of like guys who are like late bloomers, like myself. You know, I've always been little. I had 2.5 years of like my bone delay. So my twin sister at one point was like 14 inches taller than me.
Wow.
And now we're the same height. You know, like, that's crazy. So I was at that camp, you know, I did all right. You know, that's when I was young. You know, I stepped into that environment for the first time and I was like, you know, like, I can do this, but can I do this? You know, like, I was good like 2 or 3 days and then I was bad on another day, you know? And after that, I didn't get a call-up, you know, till I was my U17 year. Like you said, I started playing with the USL team and stuff and got on the radar and whatnot. And I went into that camp like, this is my time to shine. You know, I didn't care. Like, you have players coming from Ajax, Villarreal, Norwich, all over the world. And I'm coming from Kansas City, Missouri, in the cornfields, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, dude.
But before I talk about that, like, I want kids to know that the gap between an MLS kid and a CSA kid or a Rapids kid isn't what they think. In an MLS club, you might have 2, 3, 5 players who are at the top, but everybody else is just, they're just normal players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's those 2 or 3 players that they have on one team that makes them insane, you know?
Yeah.
They're unbelievable, you know? But just because they play for Sporting or whatever, like, even myself, just because I play for Sporting, like, that doesn't mean anything really, you know? It's those 2 or 3 kids who, they're on the radar, they make it out, but everybody else is just, you know, normal player. And I think, like, a lot of kids should look at it that way.
Yeah.
Like, just because I don't play for an MLS club doesn't mean that I'm not a baller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Someone told me once, I love that they said it's like when you go into things, it's kind of like going on like a first date, right? Like, you're always going to present the best version of yourself there, right?
Yeah.
Like, you may have tons of baggage, and that's the same thing when it comes when you're playing against top teams.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're going to present their top players, but realize that, like, okay, that's a very small percentage. I love that.
Yeah, so once I got into Sporting and I started training with, like, first team USL stuff and I got my national team call up, I was like, I don't care where these guys came from. You know, like I didn't look at guys in Europe any different than myself. And I told myself, I was like, you're starting the first game. I don't care what anybody says. I'll play whatever position. I'll do whatever I need to.
Such good mindset, man.
So I went in there. I did my thing. I started the first game, went 87 minutes. I played the number 6.
Okay.
That's probably the 4th or 5th time that I've played the number 6 in my career. So I played the number 6. I'm not going to lie, I did my thing a little bit. And then the second game, lineup comes out. I'm in the squad again, starting
Nice.
number 6, you know. Dude, I think I played the whole game, I'm pretty sure, you know. And then the third game, I didn't start, but I came in, first sub off the bench. And I played, and I established myself, you know what I mean?
Nice,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of, like, the GPS, like, monitors and stuff, like the bras we wear.
Yeah.
So I was wearing my little tracker and stuff, and I told myself before the game, I was like, I'm going to work my tail off today. And they looked at it after the game, and he said I ran the most distance covered that he's ever seen on a pod.
Wow.
And I said that, you know, like, if I give my all for the team, that's the least I can do. Like,
yeah, bro.
People don't understand, like, that feeling of putting on, like, your nation's crest. Like, there's nothing that beats that. When you wear that, like, you're not playing for yourself. Like, you're playing for your mom and dad back home. Like, you're playing for your grandpa who's an Army vet. You know what I mean? Like, you're playing.
100%.
It's more than just yourself. So I went in there and I was like, dude, this is more than just me. Like, I got to play. I got to do my thing. And, you know, like, after that happened, like, I kind of, like, I blew up a little bit. Like, I got a little clout. And I was like, whoa, like, this is good. But Sporting was quick to humble. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I came back to the academy, and the first day of training, like, it wasn't, Tucker, like, congrats on the national team. It was like, let's work. Like, you make one bad pass, they on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
It's good for them to do that,
yeah,
man.
like, once you hit that ability, that level, the most that they can do is push you even more.
Yeah.
Like, I told my coach, I was like, dude, yell at me. Like, get mad at me when I mess up. Like, don't let that, like, slide, you know? Like, don't let me get complacent with where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think a lot of players, some can handle a coach yelling at them, some can't. But when you get to the higher levels, dude, every coach is on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just me, though.
That's good, man. I mean, bro, like, all of these things that you're touching on are so important, like, just on success in general, man.
Yeah.
Like, just believing in yourself, the mindset, the grind. Like, I love that you had that goal before going into the game, right? Like, people don't think about this stuff, but, like, it's the small details that make the difference.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
as a number 6, if I pass it to my guy's back foot, how's he gonna turn before the defender gets to him? You know what I mean? If I don't check into this pocket, how's my center back gonna find me? How we're gonna break lines? Like, another attribute that goes really under notice is checking your shoulders. You know, like, a lot of kids, they come to the ball like this, and they get it facing like this, and they have no idea, like, what's behind them. When I run to the ball, I look this way, and I see what's coming for me. So if I look here and there's nobody there, when he passed me the ball, I turned and I just stole 10 more yards.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I think if kids, like, it feels weird at first. Like, you're like, dude, why am I looking over my shoulder?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you get to the higher levels, that extra 2 or 3 yards of space, that makes the difference in the game.
It means everything, man.
I mean, that makes the difference in the game. You know, like, one thing I noticed playing against grown men is that they cover ground. You know, it's gonna take you like less time than like a 14-year-old to get to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, your time on the ball is way less. So what are you doing to ensure you have more time on the ball? You know, because that not only helps you, but that helps your teammates. You know, because if you don't move in time, then you're getting the ball and you're getting a pass under pressure.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna give it to somebody else who's under pressure, who's gonna give it to somebody else, and you're gonna turn the ball over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%, man. I mean, like, I love that, man. Like, you think about, like, a lot of the stuff that we talk about on this podcast is a lot like higher ground, like that mindset, that like work ethic, all these things. But also, like, one thing that you're touching on that I really love is, like, you have to, like, learn about, like, the small things that make the differences as well. Like, these things you didn't know going into playing soccer. Like, you learned them.
Yeah.
You tried some, you probably tried some that didn't work out. And you're like, okay, like I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that you were willing to put in the effort to learn. Cause like, right. Like if you want to make it big, like you have to be willing to like kind of look at every angle and explore and try and fail, and you will learn things.
Yeah. And I think it's a big thing. Like kids got to be willing to learn. Like so it's okay to like have your coach tell you to do something. Like it's okay to listen, you know. And you know, my goal coming here today wasn't, you know, like obviously we're here to talk about my journey and everything, but like it doesn't do the kid any good watching this if I just talk about myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you have advice to give it. Like don't be afraid to be a leader.
Love that, man.
You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to be a leader in a group, you know? Like if your team's not performing well and you're mad about it, don't just sit there and do nothing about it. Like get on them, encourage them, you know? Like a lot of times in a room, like guys look for that guy to step up because they don't want to be the guy to step up and say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I'm just here to give advice to the kids.
That's amazing.
You know what
man.
I mean?
That's
like,
that's what our podcast is all about, bro. Like we want to like give to people that perspective, that mindset. So I love that you even decided to come on, man.
Nah, bro, you guys are sleeping on this podcast, man.
I appreciate that,
big
man.
Things in store.
Nice, man. So just to kind of wrap things up, I want you to talk about like what's your number one advice that you would give to an up and coming player. Like, I mean, you have a lot of great experience, man. You've played in the USL, you've played with men's national team. You're at UCLA now. Like, what's that number one advice?
I mean, I'll probably give a couple.
Okay, go for it.
The first one I would say is opportunity comes with hard work. Like, you can't expect, you know, a college or your dream school to come for you if you don't work. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you work and you put it in, people will notice and you'll get opportunities. I mean, I think that's a big thing. Another thing I would say is just like work ethic. Like you probably hear it all the time, but like if you're young, like you don't understand, like that truly makes the biggest difference. Like if you're small like me, like how do I get in the gym to strengthen myself? Not necessarily get big, like get swole. How do I strengthen my groins? Yeah. My glutes to
improving
absorb
you.
hits. Yeah. How do I strengthen my core strength to hold people off? You know what I mean? And just work, dude. Like be with the ball. The ball is your best friend. You can always you always have to be able to count on yourself with the ball. You know, like when you get the ball, you should feel comfortable. You might not know what the guy when you pass it to is gonna do with it, but you can't control that. Like control the things you can control. That's up there. Control what you can control. You know what I mean? You don't get picked for the first game, like, you know, like you can't do anything about it. If I get subbed in, how do I play? If I don't play at all, you know, what do I do the second week to get in the game, you know? And just stay humble, but also believe in yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between, you know, arrogance and self-belief like we were talking about. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's a very fine line.
You know what I mean? Like you got to be able to carry yourself with confidence and know that you're that guy without showing like you're that guy, you know, but you got to know within you, like, I'm here today to ball. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I would say don't read into the, like, block out the noise, block out the opinions. And, you know, like for me, like with UCLA, like I got lucky, you know, Isaiah was on here and he talked about how he went to ID camps. You know, I was a little different. Like, I got kind of lucky because I didn't reach out to a single college. Every college that, like, came to me, like, I did not contact them before. And I think that's a testament to what I'm saying, that hard work brings opportunity.
100%, man.
You know what I mean? Like, and I want kids, like, if you're from Charlotte, like, I want you to know, like, you can get out. Like, you know, like, in the soccer world, we don't have that guy from Charlotte who's like, all right, yo, like, this is, I can be the next him. You know, we have Jalen, my boy Jalen. He plays for Sporting. You know, he's on the first team, but he's really the only guy from Charlotte who's made it out. And you know, we have so much talent here that that kids. I want kids to be able to see that, like, you can do something here. You know, and you don't have to stay in North Carolina.
That's what I want to expose on this podcast too, man.
You don't have to stay in North Carolina. You know, you can go to Cali, you can go to Florida, you can go to Kansas, bro. You can go to Europe, bro.
100%, man. I think just kind of touching back on what you said, man, about like you can control what you can control. Like, I think in life there's two things you can control. There's your actions and your attitude. What kind of everything that you talked about goes back to those two things, man, because your actions are going to determine what results you get, and also your attitude, how well you're willing to handle it, because everything else is external. Everything else you can't control. You can't control what your teammate's going to do. You can't control what happens, but you can control always your actions and the attitude that you have towards them.
Yeah. And I mean, the last thing I'll leave like all these kids with is like, it's not the first person to accomplish something who's always the most successful. Like, whenever you get there, that's your time. Don't race to the finish line, you know? Like, life's a marathon, bro. Like, you're not sprinting to like do everything, you know? Like I told you, like, I've had the chance to be a pro already, you know? And I'm gonna leave it at that. But you know, like, I had a chance to sign a contract, you know what I mean? But the kid who signed it at 15 with me 4 years from now, like, is he gonna be where I'm at 4 years from now? You know what I mean? Like, don't rush to get things done. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably my number one thing. You know, when you get there, it's your time.
Yep.
Enjoy the process. You have to embrace the grind.
Yeah.
You have to embrace the grind. You know what I mean? And like, just don't let anybody tell you what you can or can't do.
I love that, man.
Don't let anybody tell you what you can or can't do. I've heard it too many times. You know,
nice,
don't let anybody.
Bro, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, man.
Bro.
You freaking rocked it. That's why I waited 19 episodes to do this, so we could have the messy episode, which, I mean, you just killed it, man.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.